Welcome back to another explainer. So today we're looking at a pretty fascinating concept that I like to call the green ledger. I mean, just imagine for a second that our planet's trees are these precious financial assets sitting in a global bank account, right? In the fight against climate change, we can't really just plant trees and cross our fingers. We have to rigorously audit them. We need to know exactly what we have, where it's located, and exactly how much carbon it's holding. So today, we're going to explore how environmental accounting has evolved from these painstaking manual paint and paper field surveys into a high-tech discipline where drones, lasers, and artificial intelligence act as our new accounting software.
Okay, let's dive into this. We've got a lot of ground to cover today, starting with trees as the ultimate climate shield, all the way to scaling up with AI, and wrapping up with why every tree counts.
Starting with Part 1, Trees as the Ultimate Climate Shield. To really understand why counting trees is so heavily regulated and technologically advanced now, we first have to quantify their value. And we aren't just talking about aesthetics here. According to the Bengaluru Urban Forest Manual, a single mature tree absorbs approximately 22 kilograms of CO2 every single year. It acts as a massive carbon sink, literally pulling greenhouse gases straight out of our atmosphere and locking them away. When you multiply that by millions of trees across a region, you're looking at a truly staggering amount of carbon sequestration.
And this brilliantly illustrates that their value goes way, way beyond just carbon. Trees act as living infrastructure. The data actually shows they mitigate urban heat islands, actively cooling your neighborhood by up to 5 degrees Celsius. They act as natural sound barriers, cutting noise by 5 to 10 decibels. And, amazingly, they even extend the lifespan of our pavement by up to 60%. Crazy, right? They do that by reducing thermal expansion and contraction. Add in the fact that they provide critical habitat supporting roughly 20% of urban bird biodiversity, and you have these incredible, multitasking environmental machines.
Moving on to Part 2, Regulating the Green Resource.
Because these biological machines are so absolutely vital, strict accounting rules, like India's Forest Conservation Act, are required to manage them. You can't just guess how many trees are in a forest if you're planning a development project or, say, claiming carbon credits. Now, what's really interesting here is the sheer scale of the regulatory burden this legal excerpt reveals. It literally says total enumeration is necessary up to 10 hectares. Total enumeration means individually counting and classifying every single tree within that plot. Now, 10 hectares, that is roughly the size of 14 soccer fields. Just imagine the physical undertaking of walking through dense forest and individually recording every single tree across that massive area.
Which brings us to Part 3, Traditional Ground Survey Methods. Welcome to the paper era.
So how do you actually achieve this total enumeration on the ground? Well, you grab a clipboard and some very comfortable boots. The National Forest Inventory Manual lays out a painstakingly detailed manual process. Field workers don't just point and count. No, they have to physically paint a 15 by 15 centimeter yellow background right on the trunk of the tree. Wait for it to dry, yes, literally watching paint dry, and then write a unique black tree number on it. Then, starting from the northwest corner of the plot and moving clockwise, they manually record the species, diameter, and health of the tree on a specific paper document known as a TOFR2 plot enumeration form. It is a massive, incredibly tedious, and labor-intensive effort.
And just to highlight the extreme technical precision required to maintain statistical accuracy, field workers have to follow something called the borderline rule. So what happens if a tree trunk grows exactly on the invisible boundary line of the survey plot? Well, the manual dictates that if the stem touches the north or west border lines, it's considered an in tree and it gets enumerated. But if it touches the east or south borders, it's an out tree and is totally ignored. This ensures no tree is counted twice across adjacent plots. It's brilliant for sure, but man, it is incredibly slow.
All right, let's jump into Part 4, LiDAR versus multispectral sensors. This is where we move from ground surveys to AI.
Listen, if you need to inventory 1 million hectares for national climate reporting, manual paint and paper surveys are going to take decades. To solve this scaling problem, we use 2 core technologies mounted on drones or aircraft. So the crucial point is contrasting these two. On one side, LiDAR uses laser pulses to map physical structure. It literally penetrates the dense canopy to give us precise geometry and height. On the other side, multispectral sensors are optical. Think of them like superpowered cameras capturing different light bands to extract the chemical and spectral properties of the leaves. This is absolutely perfect for identifying the exact tree species and assessing its health.
Now, to really grasp LiDAR, you need to understand point clouds.
When a drone flies over a forest emitting LiDAR lasers, those light pulses bounce off the leaves, the branches, the ground, and return to the sensor. The result isn't a photograph. It's a massive collection of millions of 3D spatial data points. It explicitly encodes the spatial structure of the forest in a digital, three-dimensional space. It's literally a digital twin of the forest's geometry. Pretty wild, right?
That takes us to part 5, scaling up with AI and the machine learning approach.
So a point cloud with a billion data points is just, well, raw, overwhelming data. To actually count the trees, we need AI to act as the software for our green ledger. We use advanced deep learning architectures to process all this massive sensor data. For the 3D LiDAR data, AI uses voxel-based deep learning. Think of it as treating the data like 3D pixels to recognize the shape of individual trees within a dense cluster. For the 2D multispectral images, systems like Mask-R-CNN trace the exact boundaries and outlines of individual tree crowns. Cloud-based platforms, like Sirani, fuse that laser geometry with the optical chemistry, automating the detection and segmentation of millions of trees with just astonishing accuracy. What used to take a team with yellow paint and an entire month can now be processed by an AI in mere hours. Talk about a game changer.
And finally, part 6, every tree counts.
So why push the boundaries of machine learning just to count trees? Well, this quote from the Resource Manual on Measurement of Forest Carbon Stocks really hits the nail on the head and explains the ultimate why. Precise tree enumeration directly drives global climate change mitigation. Countries literally submit their nationally determined contributions to the UN based on these counts, and the modern carbon credit market relies entirely on this accuracy. You can only issue a carbon credit if you can decisively prove, measure, and verify that the carbon is actually accrued in the forest. Without accurate enumeration, the entire financial mechanism of carbon offsets completely collapses.
As we look at this incredible leap from walking a 10-hectare plot with a clipboard to deploying a swarm of LiDAR-equipped drones powered by deep learning, we really have to ask ourselves, how will the fusion of AI and nature continue to reshape our understanding of the planet's most critical resources? We are no longer just estimating our natural wealth. We are finally auditing the green ledger with the exact precision our planet deserves.
If you found this update helpful, please hit the like button and share this video with fellow entrepreneurs. For more deep dives into the latest environmental regulations and industrial news, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. See you in the next one.